other side, so I went to the dark side. One of the things that I learned by doing that is it's very hard to manage reporters and their priorities and their needs. So I didn't think I was this much hard to manage being on the other side. So it's good to see, that I need to stay where I am, not go to the other side. But that being said, we really, really appreciate your presence here. I don't want to say much further, but for our guests who are not reporters, there are cameras in the back, and please try not to get in the shot too much. Also, if you could keep your phones and conversations until after the press conference, that would be great, so that everyone gets a clear audio and everyone is happy and satisfied. We will take as many questions as we can. So the way this is going to go down, Bonnie Holcomb, my good friend, who has been working around the clock since Feyisa's protest in Rio, she's going to tell you guys a little bit about the background, what it took to get here, the things that Feyisa himself may or may not know, and then also make some comments about organizing this event. And then she will introduce Feyisa. He will make remarks, hopefully for 6-7 minutes. And we'll take questions. We hope that this will be about 30 minutes. I hope we don't have to go much longer than that. We do have an interview one-on-one scheduled after that. If there is still an interest in having a one-on-one time with Feyisa, he's here until Friday morning. We have certain things scheduled already, but he wants to get this story out, and he came to DC just for this purpose. And he wanted to go to New Mexico and get back to training right away, but he made an exception because his story is very important, not just for him, but also for the people of Ethiopia. He wanted to use this opportunity to share that story, because a lot of the stories that have been done did not have much of his voice. So he wanted to add his voice, his perspective on the reports that have come out so far. So thank you, technical thing. So when Feyisa is going to speak in Afan Oromo, that's a language that he feels comfortable speaking and sharing his message. So I will be translating for him to English. So I'll be seated here and translating what he says and also your questions. I think we have an extra mic. If I can't hear you guys, we can pass that around. Any questions about logistics? Okay, great. Bonnie.
Well, welcome to all of you hardworking journalists. In the eyes of the man that you've come to hear, you represent a very important hallmark of democracy, a free press. A free press is something that he and his people do not enjoy in Ethiopia at the moment. I'm an anthropologist. I've spent my whole adult life working with the Oromo people, fascinated by their culture and traditions, made hopeful by their long-standing practice of democracy in their own culture, and within that tradition, admiring of their careful stewardship of the beautiful and productive lands that have been in their custody for centuries that they are now losing. It is my hope that when the world takes a clear-eyed look at the Oromo people and their culture, they will appreciate it as I have. Today, it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce a courageous man of conscience and empathy, who is a world-class runner in the prime of his career. While representing his people in the recent Summer Olympics in Rio and winning the silver medal, he made the terrifying and lion-hearted decision to make a peaceful gesture of protest to bring worldwide attention to the desperate plight of his people under siege by their own government. Let me explain this sign. This sign that Feyisa made, I'm speaking as an anthropologist, but also there are other explanations to this. But this sign is a symbol of strength, clenched fists, not holding any weaponry, chained and restrained. So this is power restrained in a defensive posture and is a sign of civil, peaceful resistance to the onslaught of repression. So that is it's something that has been popularized. It began a little bit as part of a civil resistance movement in 2014, early 15. It became popularized after the November 12th incident where the expansion of Addis Ababa was revealed to have continued. The plan was first exposed in April of 2014. I am but one of many people who have lent a hand to make it possible for this man to be here with us today. Some of us were able to put him in touch with Brazilians who assisted him at the critical point after he left the Olympic Village until he received his U.S. papers. Two Brazilians in particular, Diacy and Sergio Moreira, had met Oromo and had heard their plight while visiting in the United States since 2005. These respected people made every effort to arrange for friends and colleagues to reach out to Feyisa in the period before his friends arrived from the United States. Some of them were members of the foreign ministry. Some told him that they were from the police, that he shouldn't worry, which didn't exactly call him in the initial introduction. But they said they were proud to have helped him. They say that he is a hero to them too. And one comment they asked me to convey that he is here now that he's in the United States. They wanted me to convey that they are proud to have helped him, and that he is here because Feyisa and the Oromo have friends around the world that they don't even know about. Now Feyisa is here, he is free to tell his story to the world and ask for their help. Feyisa Lilesa has sought this opportunity to meet with you in the press, to be able to speak freely for himself as to why he felt compelled, despite great personal risk to himself, his friends, his family, to take this daunting challenge and bring to the world at large the story of the Oromo and others that is actively, violently suppressed in Ethiopia today. The story itself is suppressed. The black hole of press limitation is still very active. So his story, his fears, his hopes for the future are tied inextricably with those of his people. He hopes that you join with the effort to shine a light in the dark, ugly, tortured corners of detention centers around Ethiopia, holding innocent victims whose lives are in mortal danger for the sole reason that they have dared or are suspected of daring or may in the future dare to peacefully protest for their constitutional and human rights. So, it is with great pleasure that I welcome Feyisa Lilesa.
How are you guys? Good afternoon, good journalists and our invited guests who are here today. I would like to take this opportunity to speak to you about the suffering of my people who are being displaced from their land, people who are being killed for asking for their basic rights. I am very happy to stand before you as their voice. But before I do that, I want to thank everyone who helped me along the way since my protest, organizations and people who have been very supportive. First, I would like to thank the Brazilian government. I'm forever grateful to them for coming to me and assuring that I would be safe and I could walk around freely and safely without feeling that I would be unsafe. I would like to also thank the Brazilian people for their warm hospitality and for the moral boost that they provided when I needed the most. I'm also grateful for the staff at the U.S. Embassy in Brazil for helping facilitate my trip to the United States. I also want to thank the Oromo people and all people of Ethiopia for reaching out to me and encouraging me and telling me how my gesture impacted them.
Miidiyaalee gurguddoo addunyaa gaasan bakka nani argame sanatti argamanii gabaasa kana achi fuudhanii gurra uummata addunyaa mucaa mootummaa Itoophiyaa uummata keenyarraan gahaa jiru kana waan gurra addunyaatiin nuuf dabarsaniif galanni kee guddaadha.
I also would like to thank the international media for sending my message to the readers and around the world and for amplifying my voice about the suffering of my people in Ethiopia.
Ana duwwaan kan galateeffachaa jiru uummata Oromoo fi uummata Itoophiyaa hunda dhugaansaa dhugate waan gadi baasaniif baay'ee sin galateeffatu.
It is not just me that is grateful and thankful for what you've done. It is the entire people of Ethiopia whose voice was repressed and you gave them a voice and shone a bright light on their story.
Maatii kiyya hunda galateeffachuun barbaada. Akkan safuu Oromoo, aadaa Oromoo, eenyummaa Oromoo wanneen akkasii toranii waan guddisaniif dabalataan immoo ani isaan odoo hin mari'achiisin waan biraa ta'e.
I would like to also thank my family for raising me with Oromo values, with courage and helping me have the kind of courage that led to my protest. But also
Naasu kanarraa afanii anaan dabalataan ammarraa waan hunneenatti waranii na jajjabeessanii guddaan isaan galateeffadha.
I also want to thank them for encouraging me and making sure that they are okay and they are, so that I don't worry so much about them.
Goofan jedhanii maallaqa kana ni wala suuqii irraa kanneen kan walitti naa funaanan Dr. Salaman Ungushee fi namoonni maallaqa kana walitti naa funaanan hunda keessan galanii keessan guddaadha.
There was also a GoFundMe campaign that was started by my name without me asking for it. I would like to thank especially Dr. Solomon Unguashe and everyone who donated to that campaign for their support.
Namoonni US irraa imalanii gara Biraazil na bira dhufanii akka na irra kalli na gargaaran obbo Kaffaaloo, obbo Leellisaa Hiikaa, obbo Baayisaa Gammachuu.
I also want to thank the people who traveled to Brazil to be with me and help me until I got to this place. Their names are Kaffaaloo, Lalisa Hika, and Baayisaa Gammachuu for traveling all the way to Brazil and helping me during my stay there. I'm an athlete, I run long distance. Running has allowed me to travel long. Beyond that, it has also allowed for me to be the voice of my people. Running is life. It is life for me. It is also how I make a living. So I would look forward to continuing to race and continue to pursue my dreams. Let me say a few things about the situation in Ethiopia at the moment. At the moment, the Ethiopian government is killing, imprisoning, repressing its own people. The situation in Oromia, Amhara, and Gambela region is deeply concerning at the moment.
rakkoo saba Oromoo sirriitti beeku.
I'm an Oromo. I grew up in Oromia. The Oromo are the largest ethnic group, so I understand the suffering of my people very well.
Mootummaan kun uummata Oromoo fi gaaffii mirga isaanii gaafachaa jiran karaa nagaa hiriira bahan irratti dhukaasa banuun namoota kumaa ol lakkaa'aman ajjeesee kumaataman.
So far, the government has opened fire on peaceful protesters who are asking for their rights, and more than 1,000 people have been killed in the protests. Others have been forced into exile and have died and have been slaughtered in the deserts of Libya. Many more have become food for fish in the Mediterranean Sea. The events of the past 9 months in Ethiopia are unprecedented, something that we have not imagined. The victims include a pregnant woman, children as young as 9 old, elderly as old as 80 years old. In Ethiopia today, only the superiority one ethnic group is respected, that is the Tigrayan ethnic group. Today in Ethiopia, the people who can get all the good jobs are Tigrayan elites. Tigrayans hold the key positions of power in Ethiopia today. Ethnic Tigrayans are today the ones that are interrogating Ethiopian people, killing Ethiopian people, and displacing farmers from the land and harvesting or investing in the land for themselves. The land in Oromia is very expensive today, so they are displacing people, the locals, so that they can invest or harvest it for themselves. It is not only in Oromia. If you take the Amhara in the north, they share borders with Tigray, and they are taking land away from the Amhara region and to the Tigrayan region, Tigray region. In Gambela, they are displacing people, killing people, so that they can give it to investors or invest it in themselves. If this situation continues as it is, I have no doubt that Ethiopia is staring at the abyss. You are going to see a great tragedy unless the international community intervenes and helps bring about a change in that country. I am personally very fearful that this is going to take an ethnic dimension. You are going to see a Rwanda-like scenario where ethnic groups will turn on each other. It is important that the international community understands the gravity of the situation and they intervene so that we don't have to go there. For example, the US government is a close ally of Ethiopia. A US ally should not be killing our people. Like my people, Americans are peace-loving people. I ask the American people to urge their government to tell the Ethiopian government to respect their rights and allow us to live in peace. Let there be no doubt, if this does not happen, the situation is only going to get worse. Thank you very much. I will take your questions. Let me recognize that in the front row there are athletes like Feyisa who are Oromo and other ethnic groups who sought asylum and live in this area. I'm aware that at least one of them, or maybe all of them, are torture survivors. If journalists are interested, you can speak with them. I have a few copies of Feisa's translated remarks. If you want to look at it, you can also grab those at the end. Questions? Deb, Serene?
Questions first, announce their name, and then application or organization over it, and then the question.
So you say your name, your publication, and then you ask your question. Deb, Serene.
Hello, Feyisa. Dave Zyron from The Nation magazine and the Edge of Sports podcast. I wanted to ask you if you heard about Tamiro Demise from the Paralympics, who made the same symbol as you did after the finals of the men's 1500 meters. If you had any reaction to Tamiro Demise's gesture and any thoughts about any dangers that he might face, any words of support or solidarity for Mr. Demise.
Akkam jirta Fayyisaa wanni si gaafachuu barbaadu Tamiruu Damisee beektaa. Tamiruu Damisee Paara Olympics Amariyootti deemaa jiru irratti kan meetira 1500 irratti fiigee lafaffaa bahuudhaan harka isaa akkuma tol qabdetti ol qabee mormi isaa argisiisee jira. Kana irratti maal qabda?
Kanarratti yaadana ni qabu. Mormi sana ana duwwaa kan jalqabee biyya keessatti jalqabame uummata biyya keessatti agarsiisaa ture.
My reaction is the gesture, the protest gesture was started in Ethiopia, and people in Ethiopia have been using that same gesture. I know that the athletes had in their hearts the grievances and the concerns that I had, but they just didn't, were not able to do that now, and I believe that more is likely to come. We are likely to see more of it. It's too loud. Okay. David Smith.
I'm David Smith of The Guardian. Could you just talk us through the end of the marathon when you decided to make the gesture? Had you been planning it a long time, or was it very sudden, and what were your emotions at that time? And secondly, could you just tell us about your...
One at a time, so I'll translate. You can ask the second question, but one at a time. Maqaan kiyya David Smith Guardian irraa hin dhufe. Mee dubbatti nu deebisii yeroo sarara sanitti dhiyaattee mormii sana agarsiisuun murteessite. Akkamitti murteessitee murtii sanirra akkamitti geettee mee dubbatti nu deebisiisin jedha.
Akkuma biyya sana keessatti beekamu uummanni biyya sana keessaa cubbuu fi hidhamuu fi baqachuun kan jalqabe har'a miti duraan jira. Ani dhiibbaa kana keessatti kan dhalatee guddadhe.
I grew up witnessing the suffering of my people, and this was not new to me.
Haa ta'u malee haalli isaa kun haga ammaa kana guutummaan jumlaadhaan jechuun taane dubartiin ulfaan duune daa'imman xixiqqoo hin duune.
But we have not seen what we are seeing now when young children and pregnant women and elderly are being killed.
Haala kanarraa ka'ee ji'oottan salgan kudhan asitti jirutti haalli isaa baay'ee itti fufee jira.
Things got worse by the day in the past 9 months.
Akkuma Athletics Federation Ethiopia gara Olimpikii na filate.
As soon as the Ethiopian Athletics Federation selected me to go to Rio,
haala kana jabaatee hojjedheen mormii sagalee uummata kanaan kaa'amamee oduutu ayyuu addunyaa kun beekuu hin dandeenye.
I decided that I needed to train hard, and I knew that the people were dying, but nobody was hearing and seeing their suffering.
Bakka miidiyaa gurguddaa addunyaa jiru bakka uummanni biiliyoona lakkaa'amu kanatti hoggaan baay'oon agarsiise. Furmaanni qofa jedhee yaada ji'a sadiin dura murteessee jechuudha.
So I decided 3 months before Rio that if I win and get a good result, I knew that the media would be watching and the world will finally see and hear the cry of my people. Next question. Yeah.
Ebenezer Samuel, New York Daily News. Feyisa, have you been in touch with your family at all, and how much are you worried about them or for them at this moment right now?
Family keetiin quunnamtii qabdaa amma yeroo ammaa kanatti waa'ee isaaniitii fi nagaa isaaniitiif hammam yaaddofteerta?
Quunnamtiin akka magaru yaaddoon narraan dhaabanii maal akka kanaa jiran hin beeku. Walaan quunnamtiin quunnamnan bilbilaa isaanis naa bilbilu.
I'm in regular contact with them, and I call them and they also call me, but so far they are safe, but I do have a concern, and that did not change.
Peter Bullock, Reuters TV. Considering the personal cost, do you ever have any regrets or second thoughts about this now famous gesture?
Rakkoo masirra gaheetii wanna dhabdee jira. Kanaaf duubatti deebitee gaabbiin sirra buleera osoo godhuu baadhee jettee deebitee yaaddeerta gaabbitee kana gochuudha.
Hin gaabbine odoon gochuu baadheen gaabbaa jira. Yoona yeroo ammaa kana bara guyyaa muraasa dura eegalan riqootti hafeen booda mana hidhaa.
I have no regrets. I would have regretted if I didn't make my stand and show my protest.
Mana hidhaa Qilintootti hiriyoottan koo kan ani kanaan dura beeku kanan walitti dhufu nama baay'ee achi keessa gubatee ture odoo dhiisee uummata fuula addunyaa kanatti agarsiisuu baatee jedhame baay'een gaafa achi keessa akka fakkeenyatti hiriyaan kiyya kabbadaa Feyisaa jedhamu ibiddaan gubate.
I would have regretted if I didn't make that, because while I was in Rio, there was a prison fire in Addis Ababa. The people who were burned alive in that prison were people that I knew. That includes my good friend Kabada Feyisa, whom I knew very well, and I only found out about his days while in Rio.
Kanaafuu gochuu biyyatti gammachuu malee gatis natti dhagaameen beeku odoon dhiiseen gaabba malee ergaan hojjete sirriitti gammadaa jira waan natti dhagaameen jiru.
I'm very happy by the reaction it generated. I have no regrets, and I would have regretted for the rest of my life if I didn't make that gesture.
Neil Brokaw, Talking Media News. What's the next step for you and for your family?
Maatii keetiibsii fi egereen maal fakkaataa kanatti aanee maaltu dhufu?
Egereen kiyya nama viizaa argatee US keessan jira. Gara fuulduraatti hojii kiyya seenuu barbaada.
I have a visa that allows me to be here for temporarily, and I would like to get back to running.
Aan ofii kiyyaaf amma baay'ee waan itti tasgabbaanii waa'ee maatii kiyyaa immoo yeroo booda bakka nuti kiyya qubatu argatee yeroo tasgabbaanii murteessaa amma murtiitti seenu.
But I have not had the time to process all of this since my visa was approved recently. So I would like to take some time and think and weigh all my options, and then also what I want to do about my family. Back there, Chris.
Chris Shabbos, Sports Illustrated. Feyisa, what are you most looking forward to accomplishing here in the United States?
Ergaa as Ameerikaa yeroo jirtu kanatti maalfaa godha jettee qalbii guutuudhaan wanta of duratti achi ilaalaa jirtu maalidha? Maal gochuu barbaadda?
Akkuma nama wal qabsiisee deebisee hin tasgabboofne hoggaan tasgabbaa'e waan godhu hunda amma waan ta'an beeku fiigicha koo gara fuulduraatti akka fiigu duwwaa yaadaa jiru. Isa haala hanga ammaatti kanan beekee gara fuulduraatti waan ejjennoo kootiin
As I just said, I didn't have time to process all this and make that decision, but I'm looking forward to getting back into running and competitive sport, and that is my focus right now. Only journalist, David Smith.
Just to pick up on that point, how would it work running in the future? It would be difficult to represent the Ethiopian team. How would you take part in international competition, or what's happening within the US to help you?
Gara fuulduraatti sagantaan kee maalidha? Itoophiyaan bakka buutee fiiguu barbaadda moo ammas jirta akkamitti kompitiishinii sadarkaa addunyaatti godhamu ka biyyoonni irratti hirmaatan irratti akkamitti hirmaachuuf yaada qabdu?
Kana booda irraa ofitti deebisanii na filatan natti fakkaatu.
I do not think that they will select me again.
Karaa dhuunfaa biyyaa moo addunyaa irratti banaadha. Biyyi gamoon affeera dorgommii guddaa deemee hirmaachuu nan danda'a.
But I know that I can go anywhere. I'm a free man and can participate in a race anywhere I decide. Back there.
What are your plans for running professionally here in the United States? I think I heard New Mexico. Do you have a home base, a place where you're going to be training? What are you going to be doing?
Sagantaan kee maalidha? Gara fuulduraatti eessatti immoo shaakaluu barbaadda? Eessa deemuuf barbaadda? Biyya New Mexico jettu maqaa dhagaheera. Mee sagantaa akkamii qabda?
Garuma naa ta'utti hiriyoonni koo kan iddoo kana jiran naa gaggaafachaa jiru. Bakkuma gaarii ta'e isaan keessaa achuma garuma sana deemuuf qophiinoo.
I have friends in the US who are looking at several places, and that includes New Mexico. I'm weighing what is good terrain for me to continue to train and be competitive. So I may go there, but I'm talking to people and exploring options. Please. She is going to ask in a Oromo.
Federeeshinii Atileetiksii keessa Olompikii keessa rakkoon tokko akka jiru bahaa ture. Ammoo ergaa mormii dhiyeessitee booda qaama mootummaa Itoophiyaa irraa dhageenya waan jedhanii garuu qaamni Olompikii Koree Itoophiyaa yookaan immoo federeeshinii atileetonni hiriyoonni ta'e maal siin jedhanii hiriyoonni san gootee booda erga doomitti deebitanii haala akkamii ture maal irraa dubbisni isaan irraa maal siin jedhanii galatoomne.
The question was, we heard about problems within the Ethiopian Athletics Federation. Have you been in touch with your colleagues, Ethiopian athletes, and what did they say to you, and what was it like to go back to the village and meet them after the protest?
Atileetonni gaafa sanaan bochaan dhageessan anoofi kiyyaafuu imboo isaaf na bochise.
The athletes cried. They sent me off with tears, and usually not the kind of person that cries, but they actually made me cry, saying goodbye.
Asin dhageessanii warra gurguddaa ta'anii warra federeeshinii keessadha. Lattoo siqan badii guddaadha waan ta'eef nyaarumaan qofaatti naayyaleen irraa sissiqa.
The federation officials knew that they would get in trouble if they spoke with me or if they helped me. So they gave me certain signs and gestures, but that was it. So they could not really do much because they presumably had concerns for their safety. Henok? That would go on.
Henok Samadzera, VOA, Voice of America.
Going to ask in Amharic.
በአማርኛ እንኳን ደህና መጣ ፈይሳ። የት ልምምድህን እንደምታደርግ ወደፊት ደግሞ የምትወደው ውድድር ነውና ስፖርትህን ወዴት እንደምትቀጥል ተጠይቀሃል። ኬንያ ብለህ ነበር፣ ብራዚል በነበርክ ጊዜ ከፍተኛ የሆነ ተራራ ላይ ልምምድ ማድረግ ስላለብህ አሁን ሌሎች ቦታዎች እየሰማን ነው። እሱን አስመልክቶ ጥቂት በለን። ቤተሰቦችን በተመለከተ ደግሞ ቤተሰቦችን አያቸዋለሁ የሚል ተስፋ አለ ወይ? አመሰግናለሁ።
To just summarize that, the question was, when you were in Brazil, you mentioned Kenya as a high altitude place that was good for training. Just tell us a little bit about what other options you are looking at, but also tell us about your family. What about the family? Can you remind me? Sorry.
Would you think that?
Yeah. Do you think you will be able to see your family soon?
እኔ ወደ ኬንያ መጀመሪያ አስቤ ነበር። ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ ሲያስበው ወደ ኬንያ የሚሄድ ከሆነ የኢትዮጵያ መንግስትና
I
የኬንያ
did,
መንግስት
I did consider Kenya at first, but when I thought about it, the Kenyan government and the Ethiopian government
በጣም ትስስር አላቸው። እንደገና ደግሞ
I
ወደ
very
ኢትዮጵያ እንዳይሰጡኝ ነው።
close relationship, and I had concerns that they will send me back to Ethiopia.
አሁን ያሰብኩት ወደ አሪዞና ወይም ደግሞ ወደ ኒው ሜክሲኮ ነው። ጓደኞቼን እየጠየቅኩ ነው። ወደዛ ነው ያሰብኩት።
The two places that I'm seriously considering are New Mexico and Arizona. I'm speaking with my friends and looking at these things, and most likely that I'll go to those places. Why family KP that they will organize theater?
Why family kiyya ani abdiin qaba. Uummanni Itoophiyaa yeroo akkanatti baay'ee falmachaa jira. Haala kana anaan biyyatti maatii kiyyaa san fidaa waan ta'eef anaan biyyatti na deebi'ee abdii guddaa qaba.
I do have a concern with my family, but what I'm thinking right now today is not so much that I want to bring my family here, but that change will come to Ethiopia so that I can go home to my family. Look, only journalists, sorry.
Peter Bullock from Reuters TV here. Can you talk about can Feyisa talk about the level of support within the running community here in North America?
Warri kaaba Ameerikaatti warri kaatanii warri akkuma ta'e dorgommii ispoortii keessa jiranii gargaarsa isaan si godhan jira. Gargaarsa akkamii isaan irraa argattu?
Uummata asirratti
warra kaatu atleetota akkuma kee warra fiigicha irratti hirmaatanii jiraatan. Warruma akka kee fiigduu ta'an atleetota kaaba Ameerikaa jiraatanii namni si qunnamee gargaarsa si kennee jira atleetota warra akka keetii keessa.
Atleetota kan jiraatan bilbilaan gaaffii akkaataan itti jiruu fi jajjabina naannanii jiran muraasa isaanii baay'eedhaan walqunnamtiin qabu warri na barreessanis jiru.
I'm not connected to a lot of runners in North America, but I've heard from a few who lent me encouragement and told me to stay strong, but I'm not connected to the running community in North America. Any more questions? Here and then we'll go to the cameraman in the back. Gazetes for the what?
Hello, I work for AFP, news agency. If you were being offered to run for the United States, would you accept and would you be happy about it?
Also, mootummaan Ameerikaadhaa bakka lubbuu nu fiigisiin jedhe affeerra isaanii fudhatta gammachuudhaan immoo isaaniin fiigdaa.
Waan fi waan fakkaatu sababni isaa biyya
I do not think so. I love my country.
Uummata biyya kiyyaa jaalladha. Gara fuulduraa ani anaan hawaa jiru bilisummaa bilisoomee galee biyya kiyyaa fiiguun barbaadamate.
What I'm looking what I'm asking is freedom, and my people want freedom, and I look forward to going back to my country once there is freedom, there is change, and running for my country. So I do not think that I will accept that kind of invitation. The reporter, the cameraman.
Hi, I'm Nick Handoff with you with FlowTrack. I read your piece in the Washington Post today, and you touched on a lot of the things you talked about here. And at the end, you say that you're not a scholar or a politician. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the role that professional athletes play in writing oppression.
Barruukee Washington Post irratti barreessite argeen jira. Dhumasaa irratti an atleetii nama siyaasaa miti jettee dubbattee jirta. Mee atleetonni akka kee ciccimoo fi sadarkaa guddaarra jiranii mormii isaan carraa argatanitti gargaaramanii waa'ee uummata isaanii dubbatan kana irratti yaada akkamii qabda?
Namni hunduu dirqama inni guddaan illee nama kan barbaadu bilisummaadha. Namni kamiyyuu mirga isaa walabummaadhaan mirga siyaasaa mirga qabaachuu qaba.
It is true all people want freedom, all people want equality and equal participation in politics and their rights to be respected.
Namni kamuu amma mirga isaa argatutti falmachuu qaba. Eenyuyyuu haa ta'u atleetii duwwaa miti
I support people demanding their rights and asking for their rights and to be respected until those rights are guaranteed. And then we'll go back to David.
You talk about wanting to return to Ethiopia to see your family. Sounds like you still hold out hope of running for Ethiopia. Do you have a level of optimism that some of the issues in your country can be repaired relatively swiftly?
Biyya keenya jaalladhaa biyyatti deebi'ee fiiguun barbaada jetteerta. Rakkoon biyya Itoophiyaa keessa jiru dhugumatti dafee hiikamee dhangala jettee hammam abdiin kee hammam ga'a?
Sirni mootummaa sana jijjiirame uummanni aangoo qabaatee waan uummanni jedhamu dhagahame wanti kan jedhamu soo dhagahame ani gurra sin oolu.
If there is a regime change in Ethiopia and the system changes and the people's demands are answered and people are free and there is an opening, I will be going home the next day. Hammam dafee wanti sun hin dhufa jettee yaadda? Wanti amma jette kun hundi hammam dafee dhufa jettee yaadda?
Maaliif amma yeroo ammaa kana keessatti sosochiin biyya keessa jiru uummanni dideera mootummaa kana ittiin buluun jiru kanaaf ofumaa humna qawwee isaatiin kan
the government has lost legitimacy. They are using the power of gun to continue to stay in power. The power of the gun is only a matter of time that the power of gun will turn to the regime itself. And but I'm hopeful that change will come very soon. You still want to ask a question? Okay, two more questions and then we'll wrap up.
How old are your children and what are your feelings, what are your emotions being away from them? And if I could cheat and just ask a very quick one, what is the meaning of the symbol? Can you talk about the symbolism of it?
Ijoolleen ta'e umriin isaanii meeqa yoo waa'ee isaanii yaadduu maal sitti dhagahama keessa keetitti jedha kan lammataa boodarraa sitti jiru.
Waa'ee isaanii waan irratti dhagahamu ani ijoollee biyya uummata Oromoo irratti baay'ee dabarsee ilaalu waan ta'eef isaan du'aa jiranis bira xiyyaa dhiiga xiyyaa nama biyyi xiyyaatti.
I don't want to look at my people any differently from my children any differently from the children of other in my country who are being killed. They face the same fate and the same destiny like all other children in Ethiopia. My daughter is 5 years old and my son is 3 years old. Gaafii lammataa mormiin kee kuni hiikkaan isaa maalidha? Mee hiikkaa isaa nuu himi. The meaning of the symbol. My people are being killed, being forced into exile, and they're being arrested and put in jail. The sign means that people are saying, from now on, we want to live in peace. We are tired of getting killed. We don't want to be imprisoned. We don't want to be forced into exile. We want to decide on our resources and shape our destiny in that country. We've had enough. That's what it means.
Does it have a long historical tradition? Is it a cultural thing, or is it quite new?
Biyya keessatti seenaa qaba kanan dura ta'ee beekaa duubni isaa maali jechuudha.
Kanan dura egaa namni baay'ee dhumuuf jalqabee kan barattoota irraa jalqabee haalli kuni.
It started when the government started killing the protesters.
Kanan dura argeen beekamti isaa maraan arge.
That's when I first saw it and I have not seen it before that. Sora?
Feyisa Galatoni. Dorgommii Olompikii bara kana irratti atileetota Itoophiyaa madaaliyaa hedduun arganne. Maal isinitti fakkaata?
At this year's Olympics, Ethiopian athletes did not win as many medals as they were expected. Why do you think was the reason?
Akkuma beekamu biyya keenya keessatti namni sammuu nagaan jiraachaa hin jiru. Namni shaakala gaariilee anuma fakkeenyaaf ofirraa ka'ee hoositu.
As you could imagine, people are not having a good time in Ethiopia. These are not good times in Ethiopia.
Hoggaan shaakala koo jedhu luka kiyyatu naaf eegamalee sammuu kiyya na dhibamaa jira bakka nama dhibee kana.
To give you an example, as I was training to go to Rio, my legs were running, but my mind was preoccupied by all the killings and the suffering that was happening all around me.
Kanaafuu anaanuma baay'ee amma namni nan beeka isaan kaanis immoo haala kana yaadaa oduu jiranii dorgommii isaaniitiif baay'ee.
I know how much this affected me, so I would imagine that they were also carrying the same weight on their backs.
Fakkeenyaaf akka fakkeenyaatti faaraa olompikii akkasitti mormii agarsiisan agarsiisee yoo argitan ta'e mucaan sun tokko qofaa bahuu hin danda'a ture dhiisee akkas jechuudha waggaa iddoo sana ga'u.
For example, if I can tell you about the winner of the silver medalist in the Paralympics recently, I know how competent he was. I knew that he could have won first place.
Mootummaa suni akkaataan jabaanee biyya keenya fiiguudhaaf karoorfan irratti yaada keenya baay'ee nu jalaa cabsee waan jiruuf baay'ee rakkisaa ta'an kun gara fuulduraatti qabxiin kanaa gadiitu galmaa'uu danda'a.
The crisis in Ethiopia puts us in a position where we can't focus on our training, and I would tell you now that if this continues without any change, Ethiopia may not win as many medals as they used to. We will take Chris's question and then Sarah, and then I think we'll wrap up unless someone can convince me otherwise. Okay.
He mentioned his values were the thing that motivated him to do the gesture. Where did those values come from? I mean, what was his upbringing like?
Why safuura na guddisan warri kiyya jettee dubbattee jirta. Mee safuun sun fa'aa maal fakkaata? Jabeenya xiqqaatu kun eessaa dhufee akka itti mee waa'ee guddina keetii irraa xinnoo nutti himi.
Guddinni kun ilma qotee bulaatti baadiyyaa keessa kan dhalate warra hojii gargaaraatiif.
My family, my parents are farmers, and I grew up in the countryside in a farming community.
Safuun immoo haala uumaa fi uumamaa beekanii nama guddaa kabajanii nama xiqqaa takkeenya isaa kabajanii dubartii kabajanii.
Those values were instilled in me, such as respecting older people, respecting women, respecting young people.
Haala kanaatiin na guddisan safuu baay'eetu jira hunda simsimee hin danda'u.
My family raised me with those values and values that I can't go through and explain right now. Sarah, and then we'll go to Aggie.
Hi, Sarah Salman for CCTV America. You've obviously chosen to stay here because you've made it clear that you fear that you would be imprisoned or killed. But the government did sing your praises after winning. Why do you think the government would harm you after the international attention you've received? Or do you think they are capable of doing that after the international attention you've received? Thank you.
Biyya garuu sodaan qaba jettee jirta. Mootummaan Itoophiyaa immoo erga maantee booda si faarsaa ture. Erga si faarsanii amma immoo addunyaan hundi erga si beekee booda maaliif natu kan jettee yaadda dhuguma si miidhanii laata?
Mootummaa Itoophiyaa kaa haalli isaa takka kana kan agarsiisa takka asiin agarsiisa.
The Ethiopian government, the way it works is sometimes it shows you this, sometimes it shows you that.
Kanaan dura uummata Oromoo akkuma jiru uummata mana baay'ee uummata walakkaa baay'ina biyyattii ta'u kan seera kana jedhee nama arrabse eegas VOA dhaan gaafatanii ani hin jennee jedhee namichi miidiyaa irratti gadi ba'ee uummata kuusatti arrabse kun.
To give you an example, an Ethiopian official insulted Oromo people who make up half of Ethiopia's population at a press conference, saying they are devils. And when he was challenged by the Voice of America, he denied that he made those comments, although those comments exist.
Fuulli miidiyaan isaanii miidiyaan isaan hoogganaa jiran TV Oromiyaa kan jedhan Feyisa Lilesa ergama shororkeessitoota galmaan ga'ee fi jiranii sa'a tokko doon guutiin gaarii miti jedhanii anaan akka dogoggora biyya kanaatti galu fuula sanarraa immoo deebisanii akkanii kanas argee jira.
The state-run Oromia TV posted on Facebook after I once saying that Feyisa Lilesa successfully sent the terrorist message to the international community, but they immediately took down that message and changed the narrative. So as you could imagine, as you could see, the government says one thing and does differently. So I cannot trust them, and that's why I'm not going home. Aggie, and I think we're done.
Hi, I'm Aggie from NPR. My question is, this past weekend, of course, was Ethiopian New Year, and so there were a bunch of celebrations and concerts that were canceled because people didn't feel comfortable celebrating. So I just wonder, like, what words you have to Ethiopians outside of Ethiopia who are, and there have also been protests over the past, few months here in the U.S. I just wonder what his words are to Ethiopians outside of Ethiopia who are watching this play out, and just what they can say or do, or what they can make of what's going on.
Gaaffiin isin qabdu sanbata dabre kana ayyaana waggaa ture Itoophiyaa keessatti konsertiiwwan hedduu fi kana malees namoonni hedduu tasgabbii argatanii ayyaana sana kabajachuu hin dandeenye. Kana irratti lammiiwwan Itoophiyaa irraa kan biyya alaa jiranis hiriira bahaa turanii yeroo adda addaatti haasaas turanii. Mee isaanii maal jettaa, maal godhuu qaban fa'aa jettaa, dhaamsa akkamii qabda warra lammiiwwan Itoophiyaa biyya alaa jiraniif?
Lammiiwwan isaanii biyya alaa jiran kana akkuma kanaan dura gochaa jiran hiriira nagaa ba'anii sagalee uummata isaanii dhageessuudhaaf baay'ee yaalanii turan baay'ee deemanis.
I asked my people who are on the outside the diaspora, they have been protesting and raising awareness about the challenge in Ethiopia. I continue to be the advocate and raise those concerns.
Akkasumas itti fufanii haaluma kanaan akka kana caalatti cimanii akka isaan dhageessifatanii fi akkasumas immoo uummata Itoophiyaa keessatti yeroo ammaa kana rasaasaan rukutamee madaa'ee waan itti mana yaalaa.
I ask them to continue their advocacy, but also there are people who are being killed in Ethiopia at the moment, who are wounded.
Akka isaan deemanii isaan jarreen kun deemanii mana yaalatti yaalamuudhaaf maallaqa qabanii akka jara kana mana yaalaa maallaqa qabanii amma humna keessatti gargaartanii nama wal bakka hojjetanii horii
I ask them to help those who are seeking medical treatment but they cannot afford. Since I ask them to put together what they have and find ways to help those people who are suffering and can't get medical treatment to access those services. I ask you all journalists to send this message to the Ethiopian diaspora for me. Thank you very much. I think we'll leave it there, and if you guys have follow-up questions, I'm sure all of you guys got here because you got my email one way or another. So send us those questions. We'll try our very best to answer them. But we have a busy couple of days.
6 o'clock?
Yes, busy couple of days, but be mindful of that, but do send any follow-ups that you have. But also, I'm asked to make a very special announcement for the journalists who are here. Feyisa came here last Thursday, and he was literally sheltered the whole time. He has not met the Oromo community or the Ethiopian community in this area. Tonight there's a reception where he will finally meet so many people who consider him a hero, an icon, a legendary. And I was told that some of the songs that were written in his honor will be performed live, or maybe not. I'm hearing people shaking their head. But the community is inviting you to come and see for yourselves what his protest, his gesture meant to the people who live here, and how all of this is being received by Ethiopian Oromo and Ethiopians who live in this area. So that reception starts at 6 p.m. This evening. It will be at Sheraton Hotel in downtown Silver Spring. If you want to directions, you can ask. But Sheraton Silver Spring downtown. But I do ask that if you are interested, please do let me know, because there is an entrance fee. But the community, Feyisa has asked the community, so you will be there as Feyisa's guests, so you don't have to pay the entrance fee. So I would like your name if you do plan to come. I'll take down your name if you do plan to attend that. I apologize, I forgot one thing I wanted to say.
Dhimma Oromoo caalaa bakka bu'anii rakkinni Oromoo akka addunyaatti mul'atuu fi rakkina garaagaraa Oromoo irra gahaa ibsuudhaaf kan Oromoo caalaa irratti hojjechaa jiran qabbanii sirriitti na galateeffadha harka naa rukutaa.
I wanted to thank Kabbane, whom you heard from earlier, the anthropologist. Her real name is Bonnie Holcomb. When she went to Ethiopia in 1960s to do her 70s to do her research, the Oromos gave her name Kabbane. So that's how she's known to the community. So Feyisa is saying, I would like to take this opportunity while all of you guys here to thank her for her dedication to the Oromo cause and to tell the Oromo story more than even the Oromos themselves. Thank you very much.